So you're an artist, or at least you want to be, but you find yourself living in an environment that is completely man-made. Some people call it a city. I don't know why I'm being difficult. Anyways, you struggle to combine your love for art and your environment into making actually good art that you feel you can show off. But I promise urban sketching is more intimidating than it actually is difficult. So follow these 10 simple steps, and I promise you'll be well on your way to creating art you can show off to your friends and family. Let's dive right in. So I've carefully designed a 10-step process into successful urban sketching. 5 of the 10 you do before you ever pick up a pencil. 5 pre-drawing, 5 during the drawing. 10-step process. All right, firstly, I'd like to acknowledge that urban sketching isn't just drawing buildings, it's drawing anything in a city. Secondly, I'd like to acknowledge that these gorgeous buildings I just found behind me are not a typical city. I found them while walking through Ueno District, Tokyo. They are gorgeous, traditional buildings here in Japan, and you probably won't have these everywhere, but they're gorgeous, and I just couldn't not stop and sketch them. So these buildings are gorgeous, but actually, we're not ready for those. Let's start with something simpler. Now, how about a green box? See, I know none of you guys came here to learn how to draw an electrical box, but if we start with something super basic, the rules and the steps will make more sense as we get to the more complex drawings. So let's dive right into a green box. Step number 1 actually has nothing to do with the green box itself. It's just to have a vision and to know what you want to accomplish. Knowing what materials you want to use, what kind of paper you're drawing on, but more importantly, what kind of purpose this drawing is going to be used for. Is it to be sold one day, or is it just for practice or to show off in your sketchbook? Depending on the answer to that question, this drawing and the approach to this drawing could be completely different. Side note, I promise all the other steps are not this vague. Step number 2, choose your subject, choose your framing. Pro tip, use your fingers, always helps. But depending on the angle I look at my green box from, I either can make it a very easy drawing, like a head-on, straight looking at the green box, 1-point perspective, or I could make it difficult, look at it from a corner and add 2-point perspective. These are decisions that I need to decide early on, because once you start your drawing, there's no changing what angle you look at it from. Also, for framing, make sure you keep it on the paper. Step number 3, get comfortable. This is the simplest of all the steps, yet it's probably the one that will bite you in the butt most often. Nothing ruins a drawing faster than the inability to stay in one spot for long enough to finish it. This is decently comfortable, and I'm just drawing a green box. Shouldn't be more than 10 minutes. That's fine. But a lot of the times, especially if you're drawing in a city or a big house or something, there's not a perfect spot to sit. And if you're gonna be there for a couple hours maybe, then you won't wanna be in something uncomfortable. That's why I always bring this with me. My favorite item, not sure why it won't open, portable stool. Man, I wish I was sponsored or something. I don't need to have a bench, because my bench comes with me. It's so hard for people to just zoom in on one specific object, especially when you're in the city and it's a cool, busy street and there's stuff happening on the left and stuff happening on the right. And part of what's cool about it is that so much is going on. So zooming in on one specific thing seems like you're not capturing the whole environment. Well, trust me, it's better to do one specific thing well than 100 things in one scene and it all looks cluttered and poor. You just don't have the time to draw everything you can see. So zoom in, trust me. The final pre-drawing step is indeed a pre-drawing step, but I'm still gonna take out my sketchbook just so I can show you guys a little bit better of what I'm talking about. When you're using a pen, you can either draw a line like this, and you can just have it be one perfect line, or you can draw a line like this. A perfect line, perfectly straight, or a jagged, non-perfect, perfectly imperfect line. If you want to go perfect and just do a line, that's fine. A lot of people find that cleaner. But I promise you that will take longer when you're doing a full scene to make sure all your lines are perfect. You can spend that time on other parts of the drawing that you might prefer to be perfect, like getting a perfect angle. If your lines aren't perfect, no one's gonna judge you when one line is not perfect. But if you're going for perfect lines and one line has a bump on accident because of the paper or whatever, people are gonna notice that bump. I prefer to use imperfect lines, but it's a preference thing, up to you. All right, y'all, we've done it. We got through the pre-drawing steps. Now let's draw our green box. So my sketchbook is out, my pen is out, I'm ready to draw. Now I have to decide, how do I want this fitting on my page? Not just the framing of what I'm drawing, but how I'm gonna put it onto my page. And the single best advice I ever got for urban sketching was during an urban sketching class I took in Barcelona. The professor was a genius urban sketcher, absolutely gorgeous work. And he told me, leave a buffer zone between your drawing and the ends of the pages, even if the thing you're drawing isn't finished on that side of the page. All right, y'all, so imagine this is my new page. And we're ignoring this side. This is our practice half. This is our real half. If I'm drawing something, and this is the start of step number 7 as well. If I'm drawing at this angle, a box that is this shaped, I'm going to leave a tiny bit of space between where the box ends on either side and where the actual end of the page is. So the imaginary end of the page is here, there's a gap there, buffer zone here, and buffer zone here. Step 7 seems obvious, so many people get it wrong. Start big and loose. Do not worry about details. If you go dive into a single little corner and you don't have your full thing sketched out, you're going to end up going off the page because you're always doing it bigger than you think, or just way too small. It's so hard to get it right. Start big, work to small. I promise, as someone who's had to erase a lot of detailing that I took a lot of time on so many times in my life, start big. I promise it will pay off. Hello. All right, y'all, step number 8 is incredibly important, but very difficult to fit in this single video, and it's all about perspective. I might do a completely perspective dedicated video later in the future, but right now, to keep it simple, perspective is hard. There's a lot of things to know about it. 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, horizon line. There's a lot of rules and things you need to follow. But a lot of that, I think you can get away with not knowing if you're good at looking at something and putting it on your paper. For urban sketching, we're not inventing new buildings. We don't need to know the rules. We're not coming up with ideas from our imagination. We're looking at something and putting it on our paper. If you can look at something and get it accurately, you can get away with not knowing the perspective rules. What I like to do, and what I always find helpful, is to use my hand as a horizontal or vertical reference to know whether a line is sloping down one way or the other way, because it's not always obvious when you're just looking. But there are a few things you should know. The biggest one is when something is closer to you and going away from you, the further side will be smaller and the closer side will be bigger. Take this sign, for example. Obviously, this side, this vertical line, will be bigger than this vertical line, because this one is further away from the camera. The other major point of perspective I'd like to share with you guys, especially if you're a beginner, is vertical lines are almost always vertical. These are sloping down. This is sloping up, but these will almost always be vertical. If you look in the background, all the perspective you need to know is about the horizontal lines. If you keep your vertical lines vertical, your horizontal lines will be what you focus on, your drawing will look better. Don't worry about having vertical lines being slightly different when things are slightly warped, unless obviously the building's designed like that. Keep vertical lines vertical. I promise it'll help your drawing. Bam. Just like that, I give you guys a 3-minute green box drawing. But I know what you're thinking. It's not green. How can it be a green box? Step number 9, to color or not to color. This is an extremely important decision. I like to use coloring to separate it from the background, which is a huge thing, to add shadows, another huge thing, but also to cover mistakes, especially when you use this style of line work. Coloring where the green box and its base is supposed to be, even if the lines aren't accurate, is a very nice way to kind of make up for errors you made earlier in the process. It's kind of like erasing, but you're just covering it up. Coloring. I think you should do it. All right, y'all. Unfortunately, this drawing session is getting rained out right now. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you guys on a cliffhanger. Step number 10, I will reveal it in just a second here in this video. I have to wait. You guys don't have to wait. That's the beauty of YouTube. I'm gonna wait till it stops raining. I might go get some lunch. I don't know, I'll figure it out. Step number 10, what is it? So obviously I'm in the hotel. It's actually the next day and it's still raining. But I gotta finish this video. What is step number 10? Can't leave you on a cliffhanger. So worst comes to worst, I'm gonna go outside in a couple hours. Weather says it will stop, but it's gonna be probably sprinkling on and off for the rest of the day. I won't worry about talking, I'll throw a voiceover. But I need to tell you guys step number 10. And I also need to show you guys a real urban sketching drawing, not just a green box. That being said, I finished the green box. Bam, there you go. The sketch was about 5 to 8 minutes. The coloring was about 10, so 15, 20 minutes in total. Super fun, super light. And if you apply the same strategies to a real drawing, you'll be well on your way to being a successful urban sketcher. Hopefully it stops raining. Man, it was starting to get cold out there for real. But I'm quite happy with what we made. Now let's watercolor and finish this drawing. What's step 10?
Man, what a great project. What a great trip. I thoroughly enjoy watercoloring every single time. I thoroughly enjoy urban sketching. And I'm so grateful to be here in Tokyo. I have a month-long trip through Japan, a couple more weeks in other parts of Southeast Asia. With the freedom to go where I want and do what I want and draw for as long as I want. Man, this is truly a blessing, and I couldn't be any more grateful. I think this drawing was successful. I picked this building for a few reasons. It has a beautiful and unique curve on the side of it, which I found super appealing. It's made of multiple materials, brick and wood, which is also fun to draw for the texture of them. And the way it sticks out in some places and goes deeper in other places, I found that really interesting. Overall, I'm happy with it. And I'm happy with this drawing. Thanks for sticking around, guys.
Alright y'all, we did it. Urban sketching can take a while, but we made it. Unless this video is on autoplay though, I'm assuming you'll still want to know what step number 10 is. So here it is. Step number 10. Knowing when to be finished. With watercolor especially, you can literally ruin a drawing by overworking it. But more than just technically speaking and the aesthetic of a drawing, you're more likely to get better at urban sketching the more you do it, and you're more likely to do it more often if you enjoyed it this time. And this time, you're more likely to enjoy it if you just stop when you're ready to be done. Urban sketching literally caters to the imperfect drawings, so there's no reason to strive for perfection. Thanks for watching, guys. That's all I have for you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace and love.